Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? It's Tuesday, May 12, 2026, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. The extreme court, their conservative majority, has cleared the way for Alabama to revert to a congressional map that includes only one majority black district, eliminating the seat of Congressman Shomari Figures. He will join us on the show. In South Carolina, the Senate there, they actually blocked the gerrymandering. Even the Senate Majority Leader says, we've gerrymandered the state enough that protects the seat of Congressman Jim Clyburn. Virginia Representative Jen Kiggans, a white Republican facing backlash for agreeing with a conservative radio host who urged Democratic Leader Hakeem Jeffries to get his, quote, cotton-picking hands off Virginia. Now she's like, I didn't know what I was doing. We'll also examine the historical reasons the black unemployment rate has consistently been higher than the overall unemployment rate, even during periods of economic growth. The competency of Donald Trump, the twice impeached, criminally convicted felon-in-chief, is being questioned once more. He recently called a black reporter an offensive name, fell asleep during an Oval Office event, and now he's mad at everybody else. In tonight's Shop Black Star Network segment, we'll feature a kid's skincare line that offers natural, safe products for melanin-rich skin. Folks, it is time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Folks, Republicans all across the South are targeting African Americans. Not only are they wiping away seats held by African Americans, they're also targeting African Americans who even dare to speak up against them. Moments ago, literally seconds ago, Tennessee State Rep Justin Jones sent me a text. He has been, give me just 1 second. I'm going to read this. Literally, he just texted this to me. He has been removed from all House standing committees and subcommittees. That is done by the Republican Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton. In Louisiana, a black state senator who jammed up the last week, been removed there as well. Then, of course, we have Republicans in Alabama who appealed to the Supreme Court to implement their new map. The Supreme Court said, yeah, you can go ahead and do that. Now, here's the problem, y'all. The same Supreme Court, this same extreme court, that's what my dad texted me, this extreme court, what they did was they ruled that Alabama absolutely discriminated against black folks and ordered this creation of the second seat a couple of years ago. Now the same Supreme Court turns around and says, oh no, you can move forward. It gets worse. In December, the same extreme court said, nope, it's too late to change the election because the Texas primary, remember they changed their maps, is in March, 4 months away. They said to Alabama, oh, you got an election next week? Go right ahead. One of the folks who was greatly impacted, Congressman Shomari Figures. He joins me right now. Congressman, glad to have you here. This is what is so shameful. This is absolutely the extreme court doing the work of Republicans. Everything that they say runs counter to what they've done. In fact, Sam Alito writes in his opinion that the ruling, the Louisiana versus Calais ruling, does not obliterate the Voting Rights Act if you can prove racial intent. Well, they proved racial intent in Alabama. The folks responded. The Supreme Court, in 38 minutes, rejected the 107-page response. Surely they didn't even read it.
Yeah, it's a lot of problematic acts that we're seeing. We're seeing the Supreme Court break with a lot of norms and precedents in these recent cases that have come before it, and it is certainly concerning. In the state of Alabama, it's important to know that they did not dismiss the case that created this district. They remanded it back to the district court to reconsider it in light of the Calais decision. So that's what we fully expect. And there was another temporary injunction that was just filed earlier or late yesterday by the plaintiffs in that case. And we expect the three-judge panel in that case to give us fair consideration, because these are, as you probably know, these weren't just any three judges. These were three judges, two of whom were appointed by Donald Trump himself. The third was originally put on the bench by Ronald Reagan. They unanimously found that the state of Alabama had engaged in intentional discrimination against Black voters and how they treat the congressional maps. So a lot, has to be, read into the fact of who these judges are and what they found.
I mean, and again, you sit here and go, wait a minute, hold up. How does the same extreme court agree with the lower court that Alabama racially discriminated? They agreed. Then they come back and say, no, race can't be used in the creation of a but y'all the same six that said this just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, look, it's tough to reconcile the two decisions. It's also important to note that in the Louisiana decision, in that Calais decision, the last paragraph or the last full paragraph of that decision, Justice Alito explicitly says, this case does not overturn the Alabama case, because in that case, the state of Alabama did not even attempt to defend its maps as being a political gerrymander. So they didn't even make the argument that was successful in the Calais case, and the Supreme Court acknowledged that the state of Alabama did not make that argument. Yet nevertheless, they were given the benefit as if they had made that argument yesterday when the Supreme Court agreed to lift the injunction. But again, case is not over. It is far from over. It was sent back to the same three judges that made the original finding, not just a Section 2 finding. They also found a violation of equal protection. So we fully expect the court to once again review the evidence. The same evidence has not changed. Review the arguments and come back with a similar decision that they did in the beginning.
So what you're saying is that they referred it back. So the same court could say, we got it right the first time. Here you go.
Absolutely, because in the Louisiana decision, essentially what the Supreme Court did was they changed the test for what you must show in a Voting Rights Act. If there was any silver lining in that decision, it was the fact that they did not declare the Voting Rights Act unconstitutional. So it's still there for courts and lower courts to still be able to interpret. But they certainly made it significantly tougher to prove cases under it. So they changed the test. And so essentially what the Supreme Court just did yesterday was they said, okay, since we've changed this test and since your injunction was in part based on applying the old test for considering a Section 2 violation, we want you to go ahead and apply the new test to the evidence and the facts of the Alabama case and then come back to us. The unique part, though, was that given the proximity to the election, we literally vote next week. I've already voted because I won't be there on Election Day. The unique aspect of them sending it back was that they lifted the injunction and is allowing the state to proceed with a different map, literally just 7 days, well, at that point, 8 days from Election Day.
And again, same thing precedent when it comes to Purcell. Oh, no, you shouldn't make changes shortly before an election. Here they are in December saying to Texas, sorry, it's too soon. The primary is 4 months away. And they say to Louisiana and Alabama, oh, Louisiana, oh, your election, y'all go right ahead. Oh, it's a week. Oh, Alabama, it's a week. Oh, y'all got time. I mean, I'm like, what the hell? What the hell changed from December to May?
Look, that is certainly something that has all of us scratching our heads, because it's not even that if they had to wait that it stops the states from doing what they ultimately want to do. They could certainly still do it. They certainly could have still called special elections. You just did not have to interrupt an ongoing election and as my understanding is, the first time in American history where that has happened, where it's not been because of a natural disaster. That is, it's something that we're all confused about, something that we're left scratching our heads about, and something that, quite honestly, that we have to be concerned about, things going forward. If the Supreme Court is literally allowing states to erase, stop, pause, undo an election, then it is a significant problem that we have to grapple with.
Okay, so this new election is next week. I'm sorry.
Our current election is next week.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Your current election is next week. All right. So where does that leave you? Are you running for another seat? What's going on?
Yeah. So right now our district was drawn by the courts because the state of Alabama actually refused to draw the district in a way that the court instructed them to do it. And so the court actually drew this.
Hold on. Stop right there. Hold on. Before you continue that, I just want people to remind the Alabama legislature defied a federal court.
Oh, significantly defied them. It was so bad that, as you well remember, Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act was where certain states, predominantly in the Deep South, used to have to get their district lines pre-cleared by the U.S. Department of Justice before they could implement them. That was struck down in the Shelby v. Holder case. But Alabama's defiance in this current case, which is this was a decade later, it was so bad that the court threatened to pull the state back into pre-clearance because of how much they were defying the federal court orders to redraw the maps. And so what the state of Alabama did in response to that was basically entered into an agreement with the plaintiffs to say, hey, we will not attempt to redraw our district lines unless the Supreme Court tells us that they're overturning the case. And that has not happened yet, but they're certainly construing the lifting of this injunction as the court overturning the case. I guess that's how they're construing it, because they're certainly attempting to move forward. And Roland, I'll actually tell you, it gets even stranger. It gets even worse in the state of Alabama, because just last year, there was a constitutional amendment put forth by the supermajority Republican legislature that passed by the people of Alabama in a ballot initiative that actually said we can't make any changes during an election year that happened less than 6 months before Election Day. Well, guess what? The changes that they just made in a special session last week are shorter than 6 months before Election Day, yet the state is openly defying its own constitutional amendment that the Republicans passed just a year ago.
So I was talking. So what's next for you? Again, are you running? Are you not? What's going on?
Look, so we fully expect the district lines to stay the same as they are now. In the event that we have to run in a district, a different district lines under the map that they want to go to, it would certainly reduce the Black voting age population significantly by almost 10 percentage points. But we'll assess that. We'll make that decision at that time. But look, I got in this race initially to be a voice for the people back home, to better the people in places that actually made me who I am today. And so I've been thankful to do that, going to continue to do that every single day. So right now our focus is on continuing to do that with the expectations that the district lines remain the same. And if they do change, we'll certainly make that decision.
My panel joins me right now. I want to bring them in, get the opportunity to ask you a question as well. Dr. Mustafa Santiago Ali, former senior advisor for environmental justice at the EPA, joins us right now. Texas State Representative Jelonda Jones, also an attorney in Houston. Khalil Thompson, executive director of Win with Black Men. Mustafa, you go first.
Yeah, well, it's good to see you. What is your message to the voters in your state? What would you like to see them do?
Well, we have to stand up. It's not just a message to voters, it's also a message to elected officials. At the end of the day, what we are seeing, these efforts that we're seeing across the country, but particularly across the Deep South, they are rooted in an incredibly high level of confidence that Republicans have that Black people are not going to show up and vote. That is what is the root of all of this. The Civil Rights Movement came with an insurance plan called the right to vote. It did not come with a supplemental insurance plan of how we push back against things like this if we choose not to exercise our right to vote. And so we have to get people out to the polls, bottom line, period. Whatever means it takes to do that, we have to do that. But as elected officials, we also have to give people a reason to go to the polls and to go to the polls consistently. We have to take government to them. We cannot sit back in these positions and just act as if we are, in a place where we no longer have a responsibility to make people understand how government is working for them, what we're working on, what we're doing, how we're benefiting their lives every single day, and how we're taking the fight, on behalf of those communities. And so it's a collective message, not just to voters to go out and vote, but to elected officials to, hey, make sure that you're representing people in a way that gives them faith and confidence in showing up to vote for you.
Jolanda.
So I have a question for you. I'm confused. So people are actually voting already, which you said. Is this redraw for the current election? And if so, if people are voting along the current lines, are their votes going to apply to some new lines that could come up later? I'm just confused. I'm so confused.
So the problem is that we're all confused. This has been incredibly confusing. It has been incredibly just a lot of jumbled information, pieces of information. And I think the confusion is certainly part of the Republican effort here. But basically what is happening right now, we already have an election ongoing for the way my district is currently configured. That election is technically a week from today, on May the 19th. What happened actually earlier today, a few hours ago, was the governor went ahead and announced the new special election under the map that they want to go to, which is a map that they have presented to the court in 2023. She actually announced the date of that special election for, I believe, August 11th. Why you would announce that date a week before the current election date baffles me. I am confused by that as well. It is putting information out there that is certainly to keep some people from going to the polls, because they were like, oh, wait, I thought the election was canceled. I thought it was in August now. But nevertheless, that's where we are. In the meantime, litigation is proceeding. And so we could end up with another injunction. We could end up with another decision from the 3-judge panel, and possibly even another decision from the Supreme Court between now and then.
So I'm still confused really quickly. So they're voting now for the current seat that you hold. So you win that, right? I'm just going to claim it. You win that. They literally can draw another district, and then is that new district going to replace you?
Well,
does that mean?
Actually, here's the deal. So they've already drawn new maps. So the election next week, what's the May 19th, right?
Correct.
So the election next week is the maps where you are the incumbent, Congresswoman Terry Sewell, you have 2 African Americans. So that election is actually happening.
Correct.
Okay. So what the governor did today was she called a special election for August. So if they throw out, if they invalidate these current maps, then the new maps, which wipes out your district, that's going to be the August 11th.
Correct. And so we had a special session in Alabama state legislature last week. Received a lot of attention, just given the pushback and activism we saw down there pushing against it. But in that special session, Republicans basically passed contingency legislation. They said, hey, if the court lifts the injunction and allows us to make changes to the map, then we will go with this map, which is the 2023 map, and we will hold, and the governor shall call a special election within so many days. And so that's what essentially has happened now. So we are running in one district right now for an election next week. And if Republicans have their way, literally the results of that election are meaningless, which is probably the most confusing part. It's like, why am I going to vote on May 19th for something that is completely meaningless?
Right. Khalil, real quick, what's your question? Because Congress. Okay, we'll have Khalil. Okay, so Congressman, it is crazy. It is strange. It is unbelievable what's going on here. But all of this lays at the feet of the extreme court for their schizophrenic, nonsensical ruling that has completely thrown all of this in total chaos in Louisiana, in Alabama, in Tennessee, you name it.
Yeah, and listen, this is unfortunate. And what I hope people really realize, all voters, but especially Black voters, but this is not stopping with congressional districts.
Yep.
That decision in Louisiana is going to filter down to state representative seats, to state Senate seats, to state district court judge seats, circuit court judge seats, some Supreme Court seats, depending on how states run their election. Any partisan election that is done in districts is subject to this. And so, we're on the precipice of seeing the face of Black representation across America look significantly different if you take a snapshot today and you take a snapshot a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. It's going to be a lot fewer Black faces.
Indeed. We will be in Montgomery, Alabama, doing the show Friday, but on Saturday, the kickoff of a national effort to register as many Black folks as possible will be taking place at the Capitol, the Montgomery Capitol, beginning at 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. All roads lead to the South, the National Day of Action for Voting Rights. And so we will be broadcasting that entire event there. Congressman Shomari Figures, look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you, man. We'll see you there, man.
All right, thanks a bunch. All right, folks, again, it is crazy. It is what they're doing. It makes no sense whatsoever. Again, so now let's talk about what also has happened today. In Missouri, the Missouri Supreme Court issued their ruling where they have affirmed the Republicans wiping out the congressional seat of Congressman Emanuel Cleaver, the former mayor of Kansas City. He represented that city. What they did was they actually passed their maps wiping out that particular seat. And they went in the court, the Missouri Supreme Court went ahead. So Missouri now is going to have 7 Republicans, 1 Democrat. They left intact the seat of Congressman Wesley Bell in St. Louis, but they have wiped out the congressional seat of Congressman Emanuel Cleaver. And so the court upholds that particular change. This is the point I keep making, Jolanda, that Supreme Court races matter. That's why you got 2 folks who are running, frankly, being supported by Democrats in Georgia for the Supreme Court there. That election is taking place May 19th. Folk need to be voting them into office. We saw what happened in Wisconsin. Democrats now have a 5-2 majority of the Wisconsin Supreme Court. In North Carolina, Republicans definitely want to take out a sister, Anita Earl. She's the only African-American on one of only 2 Democrats on the North Carolina Supreme Court. They're trying to hold that seat. 3 of those Republican seats are up in 2028. Democrats could get back control of the Supreme Court. And so, again, when you have issues, obviously federal is one thing, but control of state Supreme Courts is critical. And here you have the Missouri Supreme Court affirming the decision to wipe out the congressional seat of Black Caucus member Emanuel Cleaver.
Yeah, it is terrifying because most people, Roland, they can't connect the dots. They don't see why it matters. They think the political process doesn't work for them, and so they don't vote, which is why I'm so thankful that you're talking about this, because it can get worse. It absolutely can get worse. But the Supreme Court, or as you call them, the extreme court, and I'll say the extreme right court, consistently flip-flops on issues to the extent if the Republicans want something and Trump wants something, then it's okay. And they figure out how to perform intellectual gymnastics to get there. And if it helps Black people, then they find out a way to affirm that law. That's what happened with us in Texas. That's why when we left, I said I wasn't coming back until December 8th, which was the last day to file for Congress. But what's happening in Alabama, what's happening in Missouri is a direct attack on Black people. And so what I want to hear people say, and you say it, is that these attacks are on Black people. They're not doing this same thing to other people of color. They're just doing it to us because they know that we as Black people are the heads of the snake that strangle white supremacy and the Confederacy, that squeezes the life out of it and lifts humanity. And people just are not having our back like that. Everyone should be up in arms that they're wiping out Black representation, including progressive whites. And I know people don't want to hear that, but I want to hear progressive whites as upset about what they're doing to the Black congressional members, CBC members who have seniority, and what they're doing at levels under that, like at the state and the county and the city, because it is anti-Black, it is anti, the U.S. Constitution with its amendments. So to use the Constitution to destroy the Constitution and our constitutional rights doesn't make any sense to me. And Black people have to vote like we've never voted before. That is the only thing that can help us when they are literally wiping out Democratic seats, which will generally vote for the rights of Black people.
Well, I want to see not just them raise their voices, but I've been saying this here. White folks need to be going hard registering white people to oppose MAGA. And so I'm not interested, Mustafa, in them being allies saying we stand with Black folks. No. I need y'all to get busy and go register and talk to white folks in Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, Tennessee, and these other states.
Exactly. It's reminiscent of the Freedom Riders, where there were those well-meaning white brothers and sisters who showed up and put some skin in the game. So, yes, you have a responsibility in this moment, if you want to call yourself an ally, to actually put some real action behind that. And that means that you are an ambassador to your community. You can have conversations that some Black folks can't have with other folks. To be able to help them to understand why they should not only register to vote, but why you got to get in the game, how it actually helps Black folks, but it helps a whole bunch of other folks also when we make sure that we have the right types of policies to make sure that you got your health care, to make sure that you can afford the groceries, to make sure that you can afford your rent or your mortgage, all these different types of things. So there is a symbiotic relationship if we actually want it to be able to be a healthy one. And that means that white folks going to have to do something this time. You can't just stand on the sideline and talk. You can't just say, oh, this is such a terrible thing. You got to get busy along with a lot of other folks who are going to make sure that we get out, register folks, and make sure that folks end up voting.
I'm going to give me a second. You talked about allies there, Jolanda. Representative Darren Soto, he posted this on Twitter. So the Washington Post did a story. Go to my iPad. Washington Post did a story, and this was what their tweet was. Under a new congressional map signed into law by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, the growing community of Puerto Ricans and South Americans in Kissimmee, Florida, will be splintered across 4 districts. Our voices shouldn't get diluted, one resident said. So Soto said DeSantis has declared war on all 1.3 million Puerto Ricans in Florida. He cracked our community into 4 different districts. We are American citizens. Our people died serving this country, and we will fight this in court and the ballot box. Well, guess what? This is where also I need Puerto Ricans penalizing Republicans for what they did. I need Puerto Ricans saying, okay, we're going to take y'all out at the ballot box. See, this, and I made this clear. I've said this in terms of, because the Calais decision can also impact Latinos as well, but they're targeting Black folks, as you said, Jolanda. And so this is where, okay, put up or shut up. And so I would have hoped, and matter of fact, Carol, reach out to Congressman Soto, get him on the show. I hope there's a massive voter mobilization in Florida for those Puerto Ricans saying, take out every Republican in November midterm election. Jolanda.
So I 1,000% agree with you, but it's just really interesting when you're talking about the oppression of Black people, people don't get up in arms. Now, they want for us to vote for them, and they think that we should because they're Democrats, but they don't do the same for us. And they're not going to figure out that when they target us, that they're targeted as well, because the economy is going to get worse. It's going to be harder to get jobs, harder to be able to afford groceries, an apartment, or whatever it is you need. Nothing is affordable anymore. And this started with them getting rid of qualified Black people and all the federal agencies that could make good policy to help everybody. And what you're going to find out is that people that consistently fight for everybody is Black people. But other people don't consistently fight for us, which is absolutely a problem. And when you have a stacked Supreme Court that are all Confederates that are going to figure out ways to keep the Confederacy alive and white supremacy alive, it doesn't matter what happens in the lower courts. Because even if the lower courts rule right, when it goes up to the Supremes, they're going to strike it down. And they will give inconsistent reasoning that goes against stare decisis because they know that this is the last chance they have to keep power and control because white people are just not procreating. They don't have enough votes, so they're going to crack and pack us. Roland, I know you've talked about this on your show, so that we may have one strong black district where we could have had 2 or 3 if we didn't pack everybody in there. And they're going to have more white people who are absolutely going to do everything they can do to hold on to white power. And I will say this, that this is worse than Jim Crow. This is trying to take us back to pre-Jim Crow, to Reconstruction, to slavery. Because if they could put us back on a plantation, they absolutely would. And if they can figure out a way to do it, they're going to do it. But right now, they're going to make sure that when we walk into the courtrooms, that no one looks like us, which is how it was here in Harris County before a wave of black women got elected, to see nothing but white people judging black people, and for the most part, judging our culture, judging against us, and putting us in untenable positions. And that's what we see. And as you said, they are literally targeting people who dare to speak out against it. So this place is not a democracy anymore. People just don't realize it. And I hope, I wish, and I pray that the people that don't like MAGA, that see that MAGA cares nothing about them, they get on and they fight with us in this, because we black people cannot do it alone. We need our allies. And we need you more, as Roland said, to just say that you support us. We need for you to vote for us. We need for you to block walk for us. We need for you to contribute to our campaigns, because it costs money to go up against this white supremacy machine.
Let me, so folks, let's talk about what took place today in South Carolina. Surprisingly, the South Carolina State Senate rejected efforts to redistrict the state's congressional map, which would have eliminated the seat of longtime Congressman Jim Clyburn. He is the only African-American and the only Democrat. A 2/3 majority was required to allow a vote on redistricting, a measure that Donald Trump has been advocating nationally to maintain the Republicans' House majority. However, the South Carolina Senate vote did not achieve the necessary procedural threshold. All of the Democratic state senators in South Carolina voted against the measure, along with 5 Republicans. The South Carolina State Majority Leader, this is what he had to say about this.
I said earlier that if the U.S. House goes to a Democratic majority, it won't be because of South Carolina. That's because we are already heavily gerrymandered. We are the most gerrymandered Republican state in the country already. And we did that intentionally. There have been celebrated changes in Florida over the last week. Those celebrated changes in Florida get them to where we are now. Yesterday, the U.S. Supreme Court allowed Alabama to use a map that it had passed but had previously been stopped by the courts. Yesterday, they allowed Alabama to use this map that they passed before. Alabama also has 7 congressional districts. That map would allow Alabama to use a 6-1 map. Right? The U.S. Supreme Court decision yesterday allowed Alabama to do what we have already done.
That is Shane Massey. Now, Donald Trump, of course, he loves what's going on. A reporter asked him about gerrymandering that's taking place in the South. This is how he responded.
The voters who are confused about the changing map, the changing dates, and the African Americans concerned that this is going to draw black members of Congress off the map, what do you say?
Well, I think it's been a wonderful process. They've been, the Democrats, or as I call the Democrats, because they are dumb in so many ways. They've redistricted for years, and now we took our shot, and it looks like we're going to pick up a lot of seats, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. We want voters to have their choice. We want fair voting. We want fair elections. The Democrats have been cheating on elections for many years, and all we're doing is winning.
And we know he's a liar. I'll start with you, Jolanda. This is a big decision here. First of all, let's be real clear. Some Republicans in South Carolina feared by going after Clyburn's seat that if a Democrat's in the White House, they could get screwed. South Carolina really depends on the federal government for a lot of their budget. And there were Republicans saying, hey, do we really want to do this here? Because if a Democrat's back in the White House, we could be on the outside looking in. Two, if they changed that district, that meant sending a lot of black voters to some other districts, and they said, wait a minute, you could be endangering other districts. That's actually what's happening in Texas right now. There were some Republicans in Texas who are on edge that if Latinos, if they vote in a significant number for Democrats, then Republicans could lose the edge they thought they were gaining by rigging the maps to take those 5 seats.
Oh, for sure. And we're actually seeing that here, Roland, where a lot of reliably Republican seats have gone to Democrats. They've had Democrats all voting like Democrats, and they've had some Republicans voting with Democrats, like the Senate seat with Tyler Rimmet. We just had a black mayor get elected down in Pearland. That's never happened.
Alpha?
Pearland is redneck country.
He's an alpha.
He is. He's absolutely an alpha. He's Brad. But my point is this. There are a lot of safe Republican seats where they're getting antsy, right? Because they don't want to be a casualty. So let's say if I have a district that's 85% Democrat and you put it down to 60%, and then move that 25% somewhere else, those people could actually be the swing voters to unelect them. So I think that the Republicans are playing a very dangerous game. And I'm actually looking very forward to see what happens in November, especially here in Texas, because for the first time, we got a Democrat in every race, even in reliably Republican seats, to see if we could steal some seats, and we've been able to do that. So let me tell you, this may be an example of what's meant for bad is going to end up being for good, because God don't like ugly. And I'm just saying that the Republicans, and Clyburn is super, I don't know how much seniority he has, but he's got to be near the top of seniority. And there will be black people angry around the states. And I am certain that if you screw with Clyburn in South Carolina, that you're going to have black people across like South Carolina seriously angry. And I know Clyburn is an Omega. So then the D9 is probably going to get motivated. And you know how we are when we're motivated. So I think that the Republicans are playing a dangerous game, but we at the street level have got to pay attention to these attacks on black folks. And we in the media and we who are elected have to do a better job of connecting the dots for our constituents on the streets who are suffering right now, who haven't been able to connect that the reason I'm suffering is literally because Republicans hate black people and they are implementing policy that hurts black people.
Mustafa, I keep saying this, and the only way you stop these people is if you completely overwhelm the ballot box. As I said, we're going to be kicking off a massive national voter registration effort on Saturday in Montgomery. We'll be broadcasting that on the Black Star Network. We're going to be sending our feed. Guys, could y'all please thank you. Come on. We got to move a little faster. We're going to be sending our feed to multiple channels all across YouTube and Facebook as well. It is going to require a massive turnout, but it can't just happen one time. I've said on this show numerous times, we voted in massive numbers for Obama in 2008 and 2012. Had we maintained that turnout, in 2006, in 2010 midterm elections, 2014 midterm elections, 2018 midterm, 2016 presidential election, 2018, 2020, 2022, 2024, then we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation. Now, I know somebody's listening and they're saying, well, Roland, it's not all on black people. Guess what? I ain't talking to white people. Now, there's some white people who watch this show, and I appreciate it. There's some Latinos who watch this show. But I'm largely talking to black people. And what I'm saying to black people, all we can do is what we can do. We can't control what they do. But what I do know is that when our turnout drops the way it did, when we don't show up, when we don't push the same numbers. I mean, the stats are the stats. Go to my iPad. I mean, this is it right here. You see the black line is white voters. The blue line, the black line, white voters. The blue line are black voters. You see right here, You see right there that blue line where we are almost on par with them in 2000. We outvoted them in 2012, first time in history. And in fact, Sam Alito used this in that Calais decision by saying that, talking about the black vote in 2 of the last 5 presidential elections. But here's the problem. Look at that drop off in 2016. And then it went up in 2020. And then it went way back down in 2024. This right here simply cannot happen. We have got to have black folks killing it at the ballot box to shut these folks down and their anti-black agenda.
Yeah. Well, you know my quote, you have power unless you give it away. And that, you know, the particular chart you just showed really highlights that for everyone. When we show up, you know, when we vote in significant numbers, we win. We make sure that we hold on to our power. We make sure that resources are coming back to our community. We make sure that our voices and our priorities have a place to not only be heard, but to be worked upon. And when we don't, then we know someone else is making decisions for us. You know, when you think about the South, Andrew Johnson he was a president after Lincoln was assassinated. And one of the things he was trying to do is to make sure that the United States government was a white man's government. Now, you see many actions that are currently going on today, whether through the Supreme Court or through the redistricting that we see going on, the gerrymandering of maps, that folks are doing. So how do you make sure that you combat that? One of the ways that you do it is by making sure that we vote in some of the highest numbers ever seen. I'm one who also believes in partnership. So, you know, to my brothers and sisters who are out there, I always say, mi gente tienes que votar. What that means is that my people, you got to vote. So whether it is black folks or brown folks, when we come together, we can actually make progress. And progress scares some folks in America because they think that they are going to lose something instead of realizing that when our communities are stronger, America is stronger. So we can't wait on anybody else. Nobody is coming to save us. We have to make sure that we vote in the numbers that are necessary for us to make sure that we're winning, not just on the federal level, but the state, the county, and the local level as well. And that's how you make sure that you hold on to your power.
Lau, because of this Calais decision, you now have folks trying to sue Illinois. A conservative legal group is focusing on voter protection for black and minority communities. Again, in Illinois, the Public Interest Legal Foundation has filed a federal lawsuit challenging the Illinois 2011 Voting Rights Act. The conservative group says the law is unconstitutional because it mandates that race be considered when drawing legislative districts. The lawsuit was filed on behalf of former Republican State Representative Jean Ives. The complaint claims that the protections meant to prevent the dilution of black voting power through redistricting have now resulted in unconstitutional race-based map drawing, violating the 15th Amendment. Civil rights advocates believe this case could become a significant effort to leverage the Calais ruling to dismantle state voting rights acts and weaken protections designed to ensure minority political representation across the country. Jolanda, as we continue to say, we've told people this is what they do. The entire focus, it was all in Project 2025. It was to, and I've been yelling this, their whole goal is to completely dismantle the black political, economic, educational, health, social justice infrastructure. And by now targeting state seats, and again, for the people out there, you got these deranged Negroes who out there talking about Trump and talking about how they support conservatives. I see these fools all on Instagram with their nonsense. Well, they don't quite understand, and I think a lot of people don't understand. This is not just about you're going to lose black person, because the Republicans are saying, well, like Steve Cohen, that's a white man representing the district in Memphis. But the question is, what are the resources coming back to communities? And that's the thing. Even when one is in the minority, they don't understand the role of politicians and how they are able to deliver when they get to decide what projects they want funded in their district. That person sitting in the seat plays a critical role. And so a lot of people, and I hear this all the time, Black Caucus ain't shit. They ain't doing nothing. And I'm sure the people in Texas saying, Texas Legislative Black Caucus, they don't do a damn thing. when they have no idea what literally happens when bills are being drawn up, when you're in committees, how you can insert one thing or pull something out and all of that sort of stuff. That is going to be the end result. You are going to see the wipeout of billions of dollars on the federal, state, and local level by attacking and wiping out black political power.
Absolutely. And I can tell you, the beautiful thing about us being on committees, even if we are in the minority, is sometimes we can kill bills so that they don't even get to the House floor. I mean, the same is true in the Senate. But people have no idea when people are there, they can actually earmark money to go to their districts. So if you get rid of somebody like Clyburn, then money that guaranteed went to his district will no longer be there. And like I said, and like we said during the quorum break in Texas, we have to stay gone. And here, Donald Trump was brilliant when he was putting all these people on the Supreme Court, because I really believe that the Supreme Court is going to undo every piece of voting rights. So that lawsuit in Illinois is going to eventually end up going to the U.S. Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court is going to validate states' rights to control themselves with that case, because the Republicans have been brilliant in filing a little old lawsuit that nobody's paying attention to, and then it gets appealed until it gets to the Supreme Court. The same thing happened in Texas. If you will recall, that 3-judge panel said this map is okay, right? When we said it's unconstitutional, they were like, yeah, we affirm that it's unconstitutional. And what did the Republicans? So Democrats were like, we're winning. We're going to win. They voted in our favor. Roland, I came on your show.
I remember Representative Gene Wu telling me, Purcell. And I was like, dude, they don't care.
And I told you, remember I came on your show when everybody was saying, we won, we shot the BB gun. No, we didn't. They appealed it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court reversed it. And so Democrats better learn how to fight in these gutters like the Republicans, because the Republicans are coming for us. White folks are coming for us. You want to know why? Because they are terrified that we will treat them like they treat us, which is why they're doing all these things they're doing to take us back to Reconstruction and slavery. And the Supreme Court is going to allow them to do it. So you can sit there and say that when this stuff goes to the courts, that what's always been right, the rights that we've earned are established. You're going to find out that this Supreme Court, under a Texas Chief Supreme Court Justice Roberts, is going to undo all of black rights. And the only way for us to stop it is to us to vote like we've never voted before. And I'm saying, like with you, Roland, black folks, if you expecting white folks and Hispanic folks and other folks to come save us, they're not going to do it. We literally have got to save ourselves. And if you go back and look at that graph that Roland put up a little while ago, you'll see when we vote in large numbers, we control elections. When we don't vote, we're at the hands of everybody else. So I bet you we better carry that damn ball. I bet you we better stiff arm these people that are trying to destroy us. And we better put people in office who are going to fight for us. And then if they don't, vote their asses out. That's what we need to do as black folks, because we are our own heroes.
Yep. Again, the chart is the chart when we do turn out. Mustafa, Jolanda made a point as it related to how they do this in terms of these cases. It's a perfect example. This came out yesterday. This was a tweet, and I have been telling people for months about this. Supreme Court has scheduled the three cases raising the question of whether the Voting Rights Act can be enforced by individual voters as opposed to just DOJ for conference this Thursday, May 14th. The three cases are Turtle Mountain, where Native voters are seeking to reverse the 8th Circuit ruling that the VRA does not provide a private right of action, the Mississippi NAACP case challenging legislative maps, plus the Milligan case from Alabama. Okay, so now, Mustafa, the reason it's important, because the lawsuit was filed in Arkansas. And the lawsuit said only the Department of Justice can file Voting Rights Act lawsuits. Now, for somebody who's listening, they may say, Okay, what's the big deal? What that means is that, and then appeal court affirmed that decision. Here's the problem. What they're suggesting is that the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, Transformative Justice Coalition, ACLU, any group out there, that they would not be able to file a lawsuit, a voting rights lawsuit, if the Supreme Court agrees with these right-wingers, that only the Department of Justice could file a Voting Rights Act case. Well, guess what? If Republicans control the White House, they control the Department of Justice. And so as long as there is a Republican president, and if they are as hardcore, and they will be, as the twice impeached, criminally convicted con man in chief, Donald Trump, if they're as hardcore as him, that means for those 4 years, you are not going to see any Voting Rights Act lawsuits filed if the Supreme Court agrees with this. And this is what their goal is, as Jelana said it. File that one suit, file it with a conservative federal judge, get their ruling, go to a conservative appeals court, and run that sucker through, hoping the extreme court, the United States Extreme Court, will agree with them. That's what this goal is.
Yeah, it's about the erasure of power, right? That folks understand the game, and we've got to make sure that enough of our folks understand that what this is really about is about taking away those organizations who represent our communities, who care about our communities, who've been fighting for our communities, and making sure they no longer have power and no longer are a part of the process. And then, of course, the Department of Justice. If we look at the Department of Justice right now, they have no interest whatsoever in doing anything that supports the upliftment of our communities or even the protection of our communities. And we have to understand that. And again, that goes back to why we got to vote. We got to make sure that we have a Department of Justice that does, but we also got to make sure that we've got judges. So we just talked about, how these types of things move through the courts. You have the ability through your vote and who gets elected to make sure that there are judges sitting on these courts that will be fair. That's the only thing Black folks have ever asked for, is for folks to be fair and to actually make sure that we're also healing the injustices that have happened inside of our communities. So that's why, one, we've got to make sure that our IQ is up on these particular sets of opportunities that are out there that can be devastating if they go in the wrong direction. And we also got to understand how to leverage our power by making sure we've got the right folks that sit in these seats and these judgeships. And also, of course, who's running the Department of Justice, and then ultimately who's running the White House.
See, I need folk, actually, you know what, I need folk to understand that this is why we don't expend any energy on irrelevant shit. Now, let me explain what I mean. A lot of folk have hit me and been talking today. Man, you gonna talk about the Kevin Hart roast on Netflix? Man, did you hear the jokes about George Floyd? Yeah, I heard it. Am I gonna sit here and talk about it? No. Now listen, if other shows want to do that, go right ahead. But see, this right here, that people even asking me that, is people even asking me that is why I'm like, nah, I can't, we ain't going there. And I can't talk about that because there's so many things that are going on that are serious. There's so many things that we are having to deal with. There's so many things that we are having to confront that are so serious, that are so major, that there's no time for this silliness. There's no time to be fixated with entertainment. Y'all, what we are talking about literally is the future of Black America. And what I tried to warn people of this in my book, White Fear. Y'all, I was talking about 2009. Do y'all understand? This is after Obama got inaugurated. I'm waiting to go on CNN, and I'm standing there with John Avlon, who's now in Congress, and I said, John, we're living in the beginning stages of white minority resistance. It's like, what are we talking about? I said, John, white folks cannot handle America becoming a nation majority people of color. He said, well, white people make up majority of this country. I said, yeah, John, but they are moving and operating as if they are in the minority right now. Y'all, that's 2009. You can go pull speeches I gave all across the country in 2009, in 2010, in 2011. I said, y'all, it's coming. I said, y'all prepare. It's coming. It's coming. This war is, I said, y'all, this is about to be I'm telling you, you can pull the speeches. Dropped this book in September 2022. Tried to warn people. Bunch of TV anchors, all kind of networks, wouldn't have me on their shows. I kept telling them, y'all, this is real. Folks didn't believe me. So this is why I can't waste any energy. None, zero, zilch on insignificant things. I can't. And if you want to understand power, if you want to understand how these people are responding, this was the letter that State Rep. Justin Jones of Tennessee sent me. Dear Representative Jones, you have been removed from all House standing committees and subcommittees. For any questions or more information, please contact Leader Camper. Sincerely, Cameron Sexton, Tennessee Speaker of the House. State Rep. Justin Pearson just posted this. Y'all, it's not just Representative Jones. Look at this right here. House Speaker Cameron Sexton has removed Democratic caucus members from standing committees until next session due to, quote, disrupting processes and, quote, creating disorder during the special session. Pearson tweets, Speaker of the Tennessee House Cameron Sexton just removed me and every Democrat and therefore every black elected official in the state legislature from any committee we served on. This move strips nearly 2 million Tennesseans from the representation they deserve in Tennessee state legislature. This is what I said the other day, Jolanda. No more business as usual. Every Democrat in Tennessee should say, damn this, we no meetings. They should be yelling, hollering, and screaming on the floor every single day. They should sit here and say, if y'all gonna pass some stuff, because y'all can do whatever y'all want to, you're gonna do it without us being here. The walkout y'all did in Texas, now I don't know how Tennessee works in terms of a quorum or whatever the hell, but if that's how they gonna roll, then it should be, guess what? This is the hell, we gonna bring the funk every day. And that needs to happen in Tennessee, in all these states. In fact, give me a second because I had sent this story to our group here. Give me 1 second, because I believe, according to this story, the exact same thing has happened in Louisiana. Last week, y'all find that video of the brother in Louisiana where they had the hearing and they cut his mic off and they were challenging, he was challenging him. His name is Gary Carter. This story here, give me 1 second. This is from NOLA.com. After that fiery meeting last week, now, same thing. They have removed this black state senator in Louisiana, Senator Gary Carter, from committee. The story says right here, Senator Gary Carter, a New Orleans Democrat, has stepped away. Sorry, y'all. They got all come back to me. They got all this sort of stuff to blocking this here. But I think he has been removed from a committee in Louisiana for the same thing. If y'all can find that video, please, it would be great. We ran it last week, and it goes to show you how they're operating. So they don't want any dissent, Jelana. They want black legislators to sit there and take it and say, shut the hell up.
You know, I just wrote a check because they said that people would give money to us to help us pay these fines. We have to pay them ourselves. So I just wrote a check for like $8,300 and some odd dollars, 20 some odd dollars for the quorum break. So they're punishing us. And if we don't pay it, they're going to cut our office budgets, which then causes us not to be able to have staff to be able to help our constituents. And they're talking about clearly finding them $500 a day when they break quorum isn't enough. So they're going to go back and change that. And they're going to try to remove us. And let me be clear. I'll get you a copy of my check that I wrote, Roland, where I said I reserve the right to object and to appeals in this check, because I do not believe, and I know I did not break any rules. My constituents demanded that I leave to fight for their right to elect the representatives of their choice, and that's exactly what I did. It's exactly what I will continue to do. But I fully expect next session for me to be put on dog committees, if any at all, right? Because they want to punish us. And all I'm saying is, you know what? I'd rather down on my feet than live on my knees. So if you're going to whoop me, I'm not about to just let you whoop me without a fight. I'm going to put mine in on you too. So that you know you were in a fight, because every dog has his day. But that's exactly what they're doing. And it makes me sad, but it's totally predictable. And black folks better wake up, because they're not doing this to other people. And, you know, it's really sad. And I don't know what their quorum rules are either. I think they should leave. I think they should quorum break and not participate in all this anti-black legislation and anti-DEI policy that specifically targets black people, and see how well the government runs. And perhaps sometimes things have to get really, really bad, Roland. You know that, before people realize, okay, we've got to change this trajectory. But here's what I say to black people, and I'm talking to us black people. There are many of us who are doing okay, and we're not worried about other people as long as we're doing okay. Well, it's going to be really difficult for you when everybody but you is doing really poorly. So at some point, black people are going to have the mindset that we had during segregation, when we knew we were all we had. I'm going to say that one more again because it's worth repeating. When we knew we were all we had. Because right now we have too many people that are comfortable. We're too far removed from segregation and Jim Crow, and we're just letting these white folks do to us what they want to do to us. Well, it's time for us to all fight, Roland. And you have been telling us forever, people like me, when we changed the Confederate name schools back, and I went viral then because of that. But at some point, somebody's got to just be ready to fight. We too comfortable, Roland. Black people are too comfortable, or those of us that have power are too comfortable, because those of us that are struggling are struggling. And that's really what our focus is on, is how to pay our bills, feed our families, have a place to stay.
This is no time to wave the white flag. This is what the NOLA story says. It says Louisiana State Senator Gary Carter Jr., a Democrat, is stepping away from the committee that handles redistricting matters after a contentious public hearing on Friday. He, quote, for the betterment of the committee and in order to help restore the decorum and focus that this moment demands, I've taken a voluntary leave of absence from the Senate Government and Affairs Committee. Now is the time for clarity and purpose. We cannot afford distractions when the stakes are this high for our democracy, our representation, and the people we serve. Carter said his voice in this process will remain strong, steady, and unwavering. This is the incident that sparked all this.
My suggestion to you, to the courts, to review your body of work. The court said, look at the totality of the circumstances. So let's look at the totality of your work. Your work has eliminated the elected seat of an African American in the city of New Orleans. Your work has eliminated the political power of numerous elected officials in the city of New Orleans. And so as the courts review it, I asked them to review your work. I'm not trying to make suggestions about your heart, but I will talk about your work. I'm not trying to make suggestions about your heart. I will talk about your work.
You're not going to go ahead and take a recess.
No, I don't want a recess. I already took a recess.
I'm the chairman of this.
You are no different than the senator than I am.
I'm the chairman of this committee.
And you are no different than this. Put my microphone back on. My microphone. He's suggesting he's not racist. I said we take a look at his work.
Yeah. Keep speaking. Yeah. You're out of line.
You're out of line.
He told us to shut up, Chairman. Okay, you understand this. We will have order.
I'm sorry, Mustafa. Damn stepping away. Republicans, they got a supermajority in Louisiana. They're going to do what the hell they need to do. In fact, I dare say, Senator Carter, no, you stay there and you keep kicking their ass. Isaac Hayes just posted this on social media. Go to my iPad. This is the issue. There are 300 to 500,000 eligible but unregistered black people in Louisiana. What we need are folks who are fighting in these state capitals. You know what? Cameron Sexton did what he did in Tennessee. Every Democrat in Tennessee should say, guess what? We about to bring this holy hell every single day. I dare you to call in the state troopers. I dare you to have us ejected. This is not the time for nice, cute decorum when you know the other side don't give a damn about what you think. When the Supreme Court gets a 107-page response, and in 38 minutes they reject it, they didn't read 26,000. Come on, Doc. They didn't read 26,000 words in 38 minutes. They didn't even. No, done. We already decided this here. No, this is no time for niceties, Mustafa. This is no time for decorum. This is absolute time for civil disobedience.
Without a doubt. I mean, we've got all these insidious actions that are happening across the country and particularly in the South. You know, folks are looking for fighters. Folks want to know that if they're going to give you their vote, that you are actually going to stand up, that you're going to roll up your sleeves. You're going to throw some bows if you need to make sure that, you know, your voice is being heard, that the issues that we care about are continuing to be highlighted. And that's what folks want. And when you don't, if you roll over, if you get silent, these folks are going to continue to do what they're going to do. And they'll say, well, you know, complacency must mean that y'all are okay with it. So that's why we need folks who, whether you're on a county commission or you're in a state house, or if you're on the federal level, folks got to see you. They got to hear you. They got to know there's some passion. They got to know that you're willing to go to war for them. And if you're not willing to do that, then, you know, things continue to stay the same. And, you know, we just can't be complacent anymore. We can't play nice, you know, with folks who have no interest in any type of collaborative actions and anything that is going to help our communities. So not only do we got to show up, but we got to show out sometimes.
Absolutely. And understand how these folks think. Check this out. Republican Congresswoman Jen Kiggans of Virginia catching a lot of hell for agreeing with a radio show host that House Democratic Leader Hakeem Jeffries should stay out of Virginia politics, but listen to how they phrase this.
If Hakeem Jeffries wants to be involved in Virginia politics, then I suggest he does what a bunch of New Yorkers are doing. Leave New York, move down here to Virginia, run for office down here. You can represent us. If not, get your cotton-picking hands off of Virginia.
That's right. Ditto. Yes to that.
Kiggans, a second-term lawmaker representing Virginia's southeastern corner, participated in an interview with Rich Herrera, a conservative radio host on WRVA in Richmond, to discuss Virginia's recent redistricting saga. Well, ain't that something? Now, again, Christy Stevenson, a spokesperson for Jeffries, said the comments are part of a larger trend among Republicans to turn back the clock on civil rights. Jeffries' office released this statement: extremists who endorse disgusting, vile, and racist language are pathetic. Jen Kiggans has no interest in our nation's progress toward a multiracial democracy and apparently craves a return to the days of Jim Crow racial oppression in the South. That's why MAGA Republicans in legislatures and courts across America have launched a full-scale assault on black representation. Mustafa, they knew what they were saying when they said cotton-picking hands.
Of course they did. You know, it's amazing how these folks try to pretend like they don't know, like they haven't even thought through some of these dog whistles that they continue to push forward. You know, they know what the triggers are. They know the history of the country. They know the history of their states. They know how they've tried to, dehumanize us. And they think that they can get away with it because they see at the top them using dog whistles, them using racial rhetoric, and they figure that they can do the same thing because there has not been any checks and balances in any significant way to the individuals who actually do it. A few years ago, when people did that, there was repercussions for their actions, but right now, they're continuing to push the envelope as far as they can. And they're just like, so what you gonna do about it? Now, we know there are some other groups in this country that if you say something derogatory, that there is a price to pay. We have to have that same mentality when someone does something to our community. When someone tries to degrade our community, then there has to be a price to pay.
Well, we know exactly the game they're playing, Jolanda.
We do, Roland, and here's what, when you from Third Ward, like I am, there's things you just learn from living in these streets. And you can't just roll over. If all you ever do is roll over, they will come for you all day, every day. And I hear far too many Democrats asking us, what are we going to do to work across party lines? The people across the lines don't want to work with us. The only person I can control is me. And so if you want to play a game, right, and live in the world you think it should be, and do as an elected official the fair way, we're going to lose all the time. That's one thing I think President Obama didn't appreciate his first term. He literally didn't appreciate that these people don't respect you. They don't respect you. They vote no on everything, even things that are good for them, because their goal in life was to make sure that you were ineffective and didn't pass anything. And so if you coming for me like that, I'm coming for you lower. And before anybody says I'm advocating for violence, let me go on and say I'm talking about figuratively. So if you bust me in my face, I'm not just going to bust you back in your face figuratively. I'm going worse than that, and whatever that is. Because here's what I learned being from Third Ward. If a bully can easily beat you, they will do it all the time. If you give them a fight, they're going to find somebody else to bully. And it's at this point, I think every Black elected official in whatever position they are in needs to bow up and fight the Republicans like we've never fought them before. So even if they win, there's a price to pay. So the next election, Black folks come out and we vote them out of office. Because unless and until there's punishment, there's consequences for what they do, they're going to keep doing it to us. And all this playing nice with my Republican colleagues, they literally in Texas will smile on your face, go out to eat with you, and literally vote legislation down that will help us, or enact legislation that will destroy us. This is literally a time in life. There's a fork in the road, people. There's a fork in the road where Black people are going to go back because they figure if they destroy us, everyone else will be destroyed because we are the leaders of the civil rights movement. We always have been. Even back when women were marching for voting rights, even though Black women weren't getting voting rights, they voted to support white women. We always do that. At some point, I think Black people, we need to worry about our damn selves, is what we need to do, and make people respect us, because if you allow yourself to be a rug, people will step on you. So it's time to fight. If we can't be angry, if we can't fight, if we can't disrupt meetings like the meeting that I just saw disrupted, then when can we do it? These decisions are literally leading to our death and to the death of our people. And there is no way on God's green earth I would have stepped aside because of that. I'd have been just as much of a fool as they are, probably more. I would try to make sure that they weren't able to conduct any business.
Yep.
But the only way for us to do that is to break a quorum so that they can't actually conduct any business.
It has to be constant hell in their faces. All right, let me go to a quick break. We come back. Donald Trump attacks another Black female reporter. I'll show you exactly what he did, and I got a response to it. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. If you want to contribute, please do so via Cash App. Use a Stripe QR code. You see it right here on the screen. If you are listening, go to blackstarnetwork.com. Checks and money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037 7-0196. PayPal's R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
This is a national issue.
And it's happening right here in Middletown.
This isn't just about a school. It's about opportunity.
Application was approved. Ranked as #1 by the Connecticut State Board of Education in 2023.
No one can give us an answer why. Roland Martin is coming to Middletown.
He wants the country to know about our struggle for our children's education and future.
Families need an option.
Children are waiting. Many children will fall in the gap.
The examples are right there. I guess we'll never know.
Middletown has repeatedly been denied state funding without any legitimate or legal reasons.
They're fighting so hard to stop us opening the school that serves our community. They don't want for your children what they want for their own children.
Every parent in the world wants the best for their child.
We want to hold people accountable.
We need to know the why, and you need to follow the law.
We're going to do what we always had to do. Fight for justice. Fight for what is right. Be a part of this conversation. Ask questions. Demand answers. See you May 14th.
Hi, I'm Swing Cash, Basketball Hall of Famer, and you're watching Black Star Network.
Oh, Donald Trump said this was going to be the golden era of the economy. He touted how he was going to uplift Black Americans. It was going to be amazing. He rolled out all of these Simple Simon Negroes saying how great Donald Trump was and how he was just going to be fantastic. He was going to be a businessman, and it was just going to be just great. And how his policies were just going to just sit here and just help all of us. Well, guess what? That was all bullshit. Well, the overall unemployment rate in the United States stands at 4.3%. The Black unemployment rate is a lot higher at 7.3%. Trump's reduction in the federal workforce and attempts to eliminate DEI policies have hurt Black workers all across the country. These actions have weakened a long-standing pathway to the middle class and worsened the affordability crisis that many Americans are currently facing. Banja Ajalori, chief economist at the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, joins us right now. Glad to have you on the show. Been a while. Glad to have you back. Let's just be real clear here. He was lying. He was questioned today by saying, oh, yeah, inflation has gone up to 3.8%. Oh, that was because we had it down here. Oh, it's the war. It's excuses. Okay, gas prices up. Now they're trying to sit here and figure out, man, let's get rid of the federal tax. They're trying everything. The reality is his tariff policy was idiotic. DOGE was an abject failure, but what it did was it killed people in other countries. It destroyed jobs, and it's wiped out a significant number of Black jobs and the downflow, his attacks on corporations, they've been firing black folks as well. And so we're talking about 800,000 black folks who lost jobs since his inauguration.
Yeah, everything you say is correct. What's been happening is that, basically the targeting of the federal workforce. And I think we have to remember about the federal workforce is that was the place where Black people were able to experience social mobility, moving up to the middle class, upper class. You think about pensions, you think about healthcare, and now he's really targeted that. And even with the loss of federal workforce, the jobs that people worked with the federal workforce and like nonprofits in the private sector that worked with it, those jobs are gone too.
Yeah, so by wiping out a lot of those grant programs, that, as you said, that impacted nonprofits and other businesses. And people also don't understand, listen, there were $10 billion in contracts black people got in last year of Biden-Harris, 2%, okay? Not a lot, but it was a record number. Well, that's now down to 1.2%. And so not only are you talking about losing federal jobs, billions being cut in grants that funded a lot of nonprofits. Now you're talking about decreasing in contracts. And I've talked to black folks who own businesses, and they've had to lay off or furlough workers because of contracts being snatched away or being frozen.
Very much so. And I think the thing that we have to remember is that the federal workforce is about public services. And so it's not just about the people losing their jobs, but it's about the communities that lost the services that they were needed, that were helpful, and not just in DC, but all throughout the country. And so I think that's the thing that we need to focus on, is that the communities were harmed themselves.
And so this has to be, I fundamentally believe, something that's talked about in the midterm elections to lay out. Not only that, listen, Trump has touted billions sending to farmers as a result of his tariff policy. But even there, they've been freezing out black farmers by saying, oh, yeah, we don't focus on DEI. But yeah, but you focus on white boys.
Yeah, and so you're talking about the $12 billion program that went to basically large industrial operations in February. But the problem is, even if that went to black farmers, it's still not enough. The tariff regime that you mentioned before has been very detrimental for the agricultural industry. You're having that tariffs on steel, aluminum, fertilizer. We've seen because of the conflict in the Middle East, fertilizer prices are skyrocketing. They're being harmed that way. Also, the tariff the trade war has been impacting a lot of these farmers. So now their exports have been down, their costs have been going up, and now they're getting squeezed. And that $12 billion was just a drop in the bucket. And it hasn't really helped anyone. So what do you say to these simple Simons, especially these black men? I see them, they're all on Instagram touting Trump, Trump, Trump. Oh, and they attack Democrats, Democrats, Democrats. And I'm sitting there going, the data is the data. Show me how Donald Trump has helped black people. I think about the people that you had on before saying that sometimes it has to get worse before it gets better. And it's one of those things where now we're seeing the communities are being harmed. And that's even before talking about what they call the One Big Beautiful Bill or mega bill, where there are being cuts to food assistance, people are losing health coverage. And it's just one of those things where the economy is getting worse, especially for lower and middle income households. And so you just have to look at what the data says, and more than what the data says, what's happening in the community, what are people feeling? And so we're seeing that in the poll numbers.
Questions for the panel. Mustafa, you first.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see you. You know, they had some numbers that came out today also about the inflation rate. I think it's at 3.8%, something like that. Utilities are continuing to go up. You know, how do we address this? I'm even not sure if we address it through policy or there's other actions, but based upon where you said, how do we get our arms around it?
Well, the biggest thing is that this is all policy driven, starting with the tariff regime that's caused prices to go up over the last year. Now with the conflict in Iran, it's been over 60 days. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz has caused, it's not just gas prices, but diesel, fertilizer, all these things. This is all, what people call like an own goal. It's our own policies that are causing these prices to go up. So the best way to kind of reverse it is to reverse all the policies.
Jolanda?
My question is, explain in lay people's terms what the connection is. We keep talking about the tariffs are doing this. Explain to people what that means and why are they paying more? So don't make it a conclusory statement. Explain the details, please.
Yeah, so one example is if you think about, we like to think about Black small businesses, say like beauty salons. A lot of their inputs that they use, a lot of things that they use to do their work, they get it from overseas. So before they may have gotten it from China, and you put tariffs on goods, all the goods out of China, that makes it more expensive. So they switched to say Vietnam or Malaysia. But now we've put tariffs on those, so now their costs are going up. Now that their cost goes up, they still have to get those products to be able to do their work. Now they are paying more for these goods, and now they have to raise their prices to be able to make some money. And so that's why the prices that we see go up, because the prices that these small business owners who are just trying to help out the community, their costs have gone up, and they still want to be able to make a profit.
Thank you.
Well, it is, as you say, it's going to get worse before it gets better, and people need to understand that where we are right now, all of the trash that was being talked, Biden, Harris, Trump has not made it better. And I saw, who was it? Who was that nutcase who was on CNBC? Charlie Gasparino and all of them. They were sitting there going, oh, the problem, Biden's problem was they just put, Biden and the Democrats just pumped too much money into the American economy, and that's what led to the high inflation and things along those lines. And I'm like, and what I kept saying was, okay, did you idiots forget more than 70% of the American economy is consumer spending? So if they had not pumped money in, what did they do? They pumped money in to help people pay rent, buy food, to get this economy back going after COVID. This idea that we somehow, and like this is what drives me crazy. And again, I'm not an economist, but I do keep it real basic. You had a 100-year pandemic where the economy was completely destroyed and disrupted. You had to get it back. So if 70% of American economy is spend, and people were not working, you had to pump money into the system to keep it going. Otherwise, we were really, really screwed. So then you come out of that, and you really didn't come out of it in 2021. And then you had 2022. And so there's going to be a byproduct of that, but you also had companies that jacked up prices because they didn't make money in 2020 and 2021. And last but certainly not least, which is kind of important, the American economy rebounded at a faster rate than any other major economy. So I'm sitting there going, that's the proof in the pudding that what they did was what needed to be done.
And I think that's the key point. When people complain about too much money was put in and that we didn't need it, what they're saying is that not everyone needed to recover. So if we go back to the Great Recession in 2009, we put some money, we put some money in, and the economy kind of recovered, but it was a slow recovery, and not everyone did well. But there's certain groups of people who did well. In the pandemic, and in the aftermath of that, the Biden administration said, we're going to make sure that everyone recovers, that we're going to have an inclusive recovery, and not everyone likes that. And so to your point, yes, it worked. It brought people back. It brought everyone back. A lot of communities were able to do better, but then not a lot of people want to see that. Because then when it happened in 2022, 2023, we had what's called a tight labor market. Wages at the low end of the distribution was going up. And so everyone was doing better. And so we had some inflation, but then they were starting to go down again. And then I think there's a lot of backlash to lower and middle income households doing better than they did in the aftermath of the Great Recession.
Well, first of all, when I listen to people with money say that too much money was pumped into the system, oh yeah, you were doing fine. But there was a lot of people who were broke as hell. It needed to happen. And sure, nobody wanted to see inflation where it was, but when we were going through it, I was like, y'all, we just went through something major. And I think this was part of the problem This is part of the problem, I believe, with too many Americans, where you have this attitude of, oh, you should just snap back. Like, I'm sorry, like, what's the big deal? Why are we, it should just snap back. And there was going to be pain coming out of COVID. And it's no different than what took place, and I gotta remind people, 2008, when the economy crashed because of the housing market. 2009 was awful. Our economy did not recover until the second, we did not see signs of recovery until the second half of 2011. We had to go through pain in 2009, pain in 2010, pain in the first half of 2011 to now begin to see a sliver of hope. You don't go through an economic calamity and, 3, 6 months, a year, everything just snaps back. It just doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't happen. And one of the other things is that in 2010, 2011, the federal government really started doing austerity. And so they actually not only did not put money into the economy, we're taking money out of it. And this is why even though the economy recovered, it didn't recover for everybody. There was a lot of communities 2013, 2014, 2015 that were still struggling, that still hadn't gotten back to the level they were before 2008. And so the Biden administration and policymakers in that administration recognized that and said, we're not going to go through that again. We're not going to have a long, dragged out recovery. We're going to do a quick one. And so if you look at the data, it bounced right back and it started doing really well. But even then, we still pulled back. There was, unemployment insurance that we did, child tax credit that was extended, but then those expired in 2022 and 2023. So even if you said we spent too much money, we still pulled back a bit. And it's one of those things where it's just, because everyone was doing well, I think there was some backlash from people who thought that we spent too much money because it was money spent on others.
Well, and I'll be honest, that part of this is because the people who were driving that are the people on CNBC, on these networks, who are high-income earners, and they were the ones who were driving this conversation. I think that's exactly why you constantly saw those attacks on Biden, Harris as a result, because those are the folks who had the mouthpieces. And so there we go. Bonja, I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me.
All right, folks, quick break. Black Star Network headlines, and I got to talk about Donald Trump. Another attack on a black female reporter. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
This is Bill Duke, and you're watching the Black Star Network.
Well, Donald Trump makes a habit out of insulting and demeaning the media. They find it to be cute. That's what he's always done. And, of course, right-wing media sit here and laughs at it, knowing full well if President Biden or Obama had treated the media, treated right-wing media or anybody like Donald Trump has, or they would be up in arms. Well, last week, Donald Trump was questioned by ABC correspondent Rachel Scott, and this is how he responded.
You are here against the backdrop of the war in Iran. Why focus on all these projects right now?
You know why? Because I want to keep our country beautiful and safe. Beautiful also. This place was a disgusting place. It was Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, and we had a terrible disgust. I don't know, you probably don't see dirt, but I do. And you walk down this pond, if you would have walked down, they'll tell you better than anybody. They had to take 11 or 12 truckloads of garbage out of that lake, out of that water, and it sat there for years like that. And that's not what our country is about. Our country is about beauty, cleanliness, safety, great people, not a filthy capital.
What is the status?
It's such a stupid question you ask. We're fixing up the reflecting pond to the Lincoln Memorial, the Washington Monument, and you say, why are you fixing it up? Because you can understand dirt maybe better than I can, but I don't allow it. This is one of the worst reporters. She's with ABC Fake News, and she's a horror show. She's saying, why would you bother fixing this up? Why would I bother taking 11 or 12 truckloads of filth out of the water in front of the Lincoln Monument? That's what made our country great. Beauty made our country, people made our country great. A question like that is a disgrace to our country.
What made our country great was beauty. Okay, so NABJ released a statement. NABJ demands respect for black women journalists, and they say the National Association of Black Journalists is calling for an immediate end to the continued tone of disrespect, hostility, and public denigration directed at black women journalists who are doing their jobs. The latest incident involving ABC News senior congressional correspondent Rachel Scott is part of a larger and deeply troubling pattern. Black women journalists are too often singled out, insulted, or demeaned for asking legitimate questions, reporting facts, and holding power to account. No journalist should be subjected to personal attacks, ridicule, or intimidation by any elected official for carrying out their professional responsibilities as protected by the First Amendment. Black women journalists have the same right as their colleagues to ask tough questions, pursue the truth, and serve the public without being targeted or disrespected. The president's reference to dirt while insulting a black woman journalist was especially disturbing. Okay, and so they named him, Donald Trump, tearing into April Ryan, Yamiche Alcindor, Jamel Hill, Jasmine Wright, he disrespected as well, Ebony McMorris. So let me just go ahead and say this here. So NABJ did not name him by name. I will. Donald Trump is the person who is trash. Donald Trump is the person who attacked Rachel Scott. Donald Trump is the person who attacked the other black female journalists, because that's who he is. He's a despicable human being. He's a piece of crap. That's what he is. He has no boundaries. He has no bottom. He has no morals, no values, no principles, and no ethics. But this is who he is. He is a disgusting individual who does not deserve any respect whatsoever. And that's why on this show, I do not use the title president referencing him, because he has no respect for the office. Any president, any real president of this country would not treat people and talk to people the way he does. But you know what? MAGA laughs at this. They enjoy this. They love how he demeans people. Adam Serra wrote a column for The Atlantic where he talked about the Supreme Court and Samuel Alito, and he said cruelty is the point. But that's also Donald Trump. It is all about cruelty. This is who he is. This is how he sounds. And it was really interesting. We did that segment where Fox News said, well, could Michelle Obama just say something and speak up on behalf of Melania Trump? Well, I don't see Melania Trump saying anything to her husband about his behavior and how he talks to people. This is who this man is. And so I have zero respect for him. None. That's why when in the first term, when he met with reporters and we met with television anchors, and I got invited to 3 of those, and I went to 2 of them at a speech for the 3rd. And the first time, and so of course, you know, normally when a president walks into the room, everyone stands up and you greet, hello, Mr. President, President so-and-so. Well, I was sitting there going, I can't call his ass president. And so I was that Simpson meme going back into the bushes. I just stepped back and I was like, well, he got to walk past here anyway. And so he's sitting there shaking hands, and they're sitting here and shaking hands, and he gets to me, and I'm like, man, I'm sitting there thinking I can't call him president, and I sure as hell can't call him mister. And when he finally got to me, I said hi. That was it. He does not deserve respect. This man is trash. We saw what he did on January 6th. He's an insurrectionist. And he was so despicable that he would not even show up for the peaceful transfer of power for the inauguration. He was a spoiled brat who flew out to Florida because Joe Biden kicked his ass. And yes, Donald Trump, you lost the 2020 election. And so this is how he treats black female reporters. And he trashes all sorts of people. He's a disgusting human being. And yes, we have human excrement sitting in the Oval Office. Now, some may say, oh my God, that's not language we should be using for the occupant of the Oval Office. Well, that's a language we use based upon how a person acts. And that's who he is. He's a corrupt thug who is raping and pillaging this country. There's no other way to put it. And he should be called out every time by name when he demeans and attacks black women, black female reporters, and reporters total. Jelana, your thoughts?
Oh, I agree with you, Roland. He's scum of the earth. He's excrement, call him what you want. And he's a rapist. I mean, and he's a convicted criminal, and he's a bully, and he's a whiner. And I don't call him president. In fact, I don't even write his name with a capital T because he doesn't even deserve that. And my problem when people are trying to make me do unto others as I would have other people do unto me when it comes to politics, well, with Donald Trump, I think we should do unto others as they do unto us. And so anyone should be able to understand when we talk about him like a dog, the dirty dog that he is, why we do it, because he talks about other people worse than that. He literally has something negative to say about anyone who doesn't sing his praises and who's not a single fan of his. And he's disrespectful to everyone. And he is arrogant. So are all the MAGA people. They're exactly like him and his family. And why would Michelle Obama, the best first lady ever, defend Melania Trump, a stripper who posed nude, who used men and nabbed Donald Trump, and who doesn't even like her husband? I don't think so. Her body language tells me that she doesn't even like him. So I don't understand why people expect for us to treat him better than he treats us, because I'm not going to allow someone to insult me or the people that I fight for and treat him with dignity and respect, because he deserves none.
Mustafa?
Malcolm X once said that the most disrespected person in America is the black woman. The most unprotected, the most neglected person in America is the black woman. And if we are not willing to stand up and fight for the black woman, then that says something about who we are. That's one point. Second point is folks should actually go and check the budgets that the person who's in the White House played a significant role in making sure that those cuts were in place, so that folks can't clean up parks and a number of other locations. So when he says that, you should actually go back to the root of why and where resources have been drained or erased and the impacts that happen when you make those federal cuts.
So not only is he despicable, he also can't stay awake in cabinet meetings. He kept saying, Sleepy Joe, Sleepy Joe. Like, fool, what do you do? Y'all want to see the latest? Here's the latest video of Poopy Pants falling asleep in the Oval Office.
Perinatal Improvement Collaborative hospitals, we have reduced maternal mortality by 41.5%, which is truly incredible. And this is compared with the 5.9% decline in benchmark hospitals over the same period of time. In the Perinatal Improvement Collaborative hospitals, we have reduced maternal mortality by 41.5%, which is truly...
Y'all, that fool is straight ass sleep. Okay, roll it again. He ain't listening. Yeah, roll it again. Roll it again.
hospitals, we have reduced maternal mortality by 41.5%, which is truly incredible. And this is compared with the 5.9% decline in benchmark hospitals over the same period of time.
I mean, and all he does is whine and trashes the media. Oh, you ran a bad picture of me. He's asleep, Mustafa, period. He can't even stay awake. And again, all of these media people trash Biden constantly. Oh, he's old. Look at him. He talks slow, walks slow. This idiot is sitting there in the Oval Office just... And then you all of a sudden you're going to hear, and we've all been there, that fake ass, like you were actually listening. No, he's asleep.
Yeah, he's been asleep at the wheel for a long time.
Mustafa, go ahead.
Yeah, he's been asleep at the wheel for a long time. Everybody knows that. His folks know it as well. You know, and the other part is if it's not something that he finds a priority, then of course he goes into a deeper sleep. So when we talk about the maternal rates and how folks are protecting lives, and you also got to ask the question, if you truly cared about babies, if you truly cared about mothers, then you wouldn't be making it more difficult for folks to have the nutrition that they need. You wouldn't make all these cuts that have happened to folks around healthcare coverage. So of course he's going to sleep because these things he doesn't care about, because he doesn't care about the average person across the country. He doesn't care about black folks, doesn't care about brown folks, doesn't care about indigenous folks. He don't even care about white folks unless you are rich and you can do something that helps to move his agenda forward.
Jelana?
He was sleeping. The whole world knows it. And it wasn't a blink, as they've said. But the thing that stood out to me, apart from Donald Trump pays attention to nobody but himself and his family, why were all those white women up there talking about cutting down maternal mortality rates? Maternal mortality hits black women at least 4 times the higher rate as white women. Why was there no diversity? Because he doesn't believe it. It's a whole bunch of white people telling us that they are saving us from maternal mortality when black women are dying at rates that are absolutely unacceptable. And it is because they don't provide us what we need in order for us to survive birth, just like white women do.
Here's another angle of poopy sleeping.
Years of their children's lives. Second, we are cutting unnecessary red tape that forced providers to close, limited access to care, and made it harder for working families to find the support they needed. We're moving away from one-size-fits-all federal mandates and instead empowering parents to meet their child's unique needs.
What happens when you stay up all night rage posting on Truth Social because all you're doing is watching TV? And so, again, he's just sleeping and sleeping and sleeping. Totally incompetent. Here's another video of him sleeping.
So you have big, sophisticated urban centers adopting smaller facilities, clinics, so they can help moms deliver babies wherever they may live. You don't have to drive across state to get there. Now, as great as this all is, and as fantastic as it has been to have 50 governors, in this case, Mr. President, even the Democratic governors are on board. It's such a good offer. It's such a beautiful way of keeping your people healthy that everyone's embraced this program. We still can't do it by ourselves. We have to invest in the American people. We have to have governors and private sector partners that make this happen, as well as, and I hope the Secretary can speak to this in a moment, because MAHA is probably vital to this effort. You have to get moms healthy enough to do the most creative thing the universe knows, which is making babies. So Olivia, maybe you can take the message around the private sector involvement and how you and your family have gotten involved in this.
Only thing that woke his ass up when they said his name. He's like, oh, they called my name. Oh, my bad. They just called my name. Let me wake up. And that's what it is. And so he loves trashing other people, but Donald Trump is constantly falling asleep in the Oval Office. That's all he's doing. He's just sleeping, nodding away, falling asleep. That's what he does. Just constantly napping, and so hold up. I saw another video. Okay, this was pretty funny by the Daily Mail. Okay, this was good. That's a good one, Daily Mail. That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, that's pretty cool. All right, then. Let's see here. Let's see. Again, all he does is see it. And remember, he sat here and he criticized Trump. Here's Trump talking to Andrew Schultz. I want to pull audio up.
He can sleep. This guy goes on a beach and he lays down on one of those, 6 ounce. They weigh 6 ounces and you can't lift them.
So I wonder when Andrew Schultz is going to run videos of Donald Trump sleeping, but he likely won't because the pod bros, all they did was kiss Donald Trump's sleepy ass. All right, y'all, let me go to a break. I'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Couple of things. One, be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. You want to contribute via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. Check some money. If you're listening, go to blackstarnetwork.com. Check some money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. PayPal R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You know what? I'm not going to go to the break. I'm going to do the headlines next. And of course, don't forget, y'all, we're going to be in Middletown, Connecticut on Thursday. We're going to be there on Thursday. That's right. At Cross Street AME Zion Church. And so we'd love that, Middletown, Connecticut. We'd love to see y'all there. And of course, Friday in Montgomery, Alabama, and Saturday we'll be broadcasting beginning at 1 p.m. Eastern. All roads lead to the south of the National Day of Action for Voting Rights. Let's go to the Black Star Network headlines with Brittany Noble.
The state of Alabama has initiated a civil investigation into the Alabama Southern Poverty Law Center. State Attorney General Steve Marshall issued a subpoena regarding the organization's fundraising practices and the use of its donations. This investigation follows a criminal indictment from the Justice Department, which accuses the SPLC of fraud for allegedly using funds to pay informants with extremist groups. Marshall said the investigation will assess whether the SPLC has violated state laws governing charities or engaged in deceptive trade practices. The SPLC is a nationally recognized civil rights organization known for tracking hate groups, monitoring extremism, and filing lawsuits all related to discrimination and voting rights. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche has accused the SPLC of manufacturing racism to justify its existence. The SPLC has denied these allegations, saying its informant program, which has long been known to law enforcement, is intended to gather intelligence to prevent attacks and dismantle hate groups. Efforts are underway to stop a controversial project at the Lincoln Memorial Reflection Pool in Washington, D.C. The Cultural Landscape Foundation, a Washington-based nonprofit architectural group, is suing the Trump administration. The foundation says that the Trump administration began resurfacing the pool and painting it blue without completing the necessary congressional review and notification. They're seeking an immediate stop to the resurfacing until the administration complies with federal law, including the National Historic Preservation Act. In late April, Trump told reporters that his administration planned to resurface the pool's stone bottom in American flag blue. Crews have been applying the new material to the surface of that drained pool. And the historic Black Theater in Kentucky has been transformed into a state-of-the-art library dedicated to African-American history and culture. The Lyric Theater in Lexington, which once functioned as a museum, now houses a collection of books focusing on Black history, identity, and achievements. Visitors can explore interactive exhibits and digital screens showcasing influential African-Americans who have played significant roles in shaping the nation. Additionally, there will be an exhibit that honors local leaders and chain makers from Lexington. Organizers aim to educate the community about both local and national Black history while fostering a space for learning and connection. Now, this library is free. It's open to the public from Tuesday until Saturday from 10 a.m. until 5 o'clock p.m. And media mogul Byron Allen has reached an agreement to acquire a majority stake in BuzzFeed for $120 million. Once that transaction is finalized later this month, Allen will assume the roles of chairman and chief executive officer of the company. After nearly 2 decades, BuzzFeed founder Jonah Peretti will step down as CEO and transition to a new role, focusing on artificial intelligence and digital innovation. Well, Allen plans to expand BuzzFeed and HuffPost by incorporating free streaming video video and audio, as well as user-generated content powered by artificial intelligence. This acquisition adds another significant media brand to Allen's growing empire, which already includes the Weather Channel, the Griot, and multiple television networks nationwide. A total of 565 future doctors, dentists, researchers, and health leaders will all graduate this weekend from McCary Medical College. This group includes more than 100 medical students, 82 dental graduates, and many others studying public health, pursuing graduate studies, and working in data science. McCary Medical College, a historically Black medical school, is celebrating 150 years since its founding in 1876, with the largest graduating class in its history. And university officials say this class completed their training during a time of increased national focus on healthcare, public health challenges, and the urgent need for trusted providers in underserved communities. The class of 2026, known as the Sesquicentennial class, will officially graduate during the commencement ceremony Saturday morning at the Grand Ole Opera House. That's in Nashville. A Black teen in South Los Angeles, California, has 65 reasons to celebrate. 17-year-old valedictorian Lamont Newell was accepted into 65 colleges and universities. He ultimately chose to attend Columbia University, that's in New York City, on a full scholarship to study industrial engineering. He graduated from Bourbon Day Jesuit High School. He had a 4.4 GPA, and throughout his childhood, he and his family experienced homelessness, sometimes sleeping in their car. But he aspires to use his education to create an institution that teaches STEM skills to Black kids. Roland, back to you.
All right, folks, don't forget to check out the breakdown of Brittany Noble every day at noon Eastern. The breakdown of Brittany Noble every day, noon Eastern on the Black Star Network. Time for Shop Black Star Network. Folks, finding a skincare brand that truly caters to children's sensitive, hypoallergenic, and eczema-prone skin can be difficult, especially when so many products on the market are loaded with harsh ingredients or generic formulas that don't account for the unique needs of Black and brown skin. Well, Melanin Brand Skin is taking a different approach by creating skincare products specifically designed for young melanated skin, including children with sensitive skin. Patrice Chappelle, co-founder and CEO of Melanin Brand Skin, joins us right now. Patrice, glad to have you here. So, all right, so explain to us why melanated skin is so different.
Yes, good evening. So when my son Braun was a lot younger, I could not find any skincare products for him. We started this company because of him and for kids that look like him. There weren't any products on the market at the time. Now you'll find more skincare brands that cater to kids, but they still miss the mark on catering to boys and to Black and brown kids.
And so when did you first start this research that led to launching your own skincare line?
Yes, so it was actually before Braun's 12th birthday. We started looking into formulations and ingredients that would work best on melanated skin. We are more prone to having eczema and other skin conditions that other ethnicities don't typically have. So we started then, we launched in May of 2023. So we're actually 3 years in business as of this month.
And how has it gone thus far?
It's been going wonderfully, Roland. So we're actually in Ronald Reagan National Airport as we speak. We were there as of April 1st. We'll be in the airport throughout June 30th. And we are the first kids skincare brand in DCA. So very exciting. We're meeting so many people, reaching new audiences. I mean, different ethnicities at that. So not only are we catering to Black and brown communities, but also to Caucasian and other ethnicities as well. So it's very exciting.
All right, then. And so different products that you have. I see right here the Mela Moisture Face and Body Wash. So how many different products do you have?
Yes, so we actually have about 10 SKUs right now. Our latest is actually our towels. So as you can see, it's our Melon Velvet towels. These towels are disposable. They are 50, they come 50 in a box. And there are other brands that have these towels, but not specifically for children. So we're starting to create a lane that is wide open and fulfilling a gap that has not been met yet. We also have our fresh face cleanser here as well. So this goes along with our discovery kit. And this comes with a toner and moisturizer. And this is great for ages 7 through 21. So not just the school age children, but also the college age kids. We also capture that age group too. And then this is the Melon Moisture Extreme Cream. So that wash, trying to get it right here. So that wash that you have, Roland, this accompanies that. This is great for the eczema, psoriasis, dermatitis. It can be placed on your scalp, your face, and your body. And some of the main ingredients are aloe vera, shea butter, colloidal oats, which is good for anti-inflammatory, properties and helping your skin to reduce redness and dryness and all those things, and itching.
Questions from the panel. Jelana, you first.
Yes, there are some people in my family who have severe eczema. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out how to get your products, because I would like to have some relief for some people in my family who can't get a handle on that. So what do I need to do to get to your product?
Yes, so we're actually on the marketplace with Roland Martin, so you can check us out there. It's really exciting because I had a young girl yesterday, and I believe she may have been Filipino, but she had eczema literally all over her body. And so when she walked up with her mom, she was maybe like 6 or 7 years old, and this was in the airport yesterday. And I let her try a sample, and she was rubbing it on her, hands and her arms. And her mom was like, "How does it feel?" And she's like, "It feels great." And so her mom purchased it. So it's just really fulfilling to be able to solve a true issue that moms and dads alike have been trying to resolve for a long time for their kids, because they simply cannot find products like this that do not have toxins. And we're also cruelty-free. So we're Leaping Bunny certified cruelty-free. So we have that certification, meaning we do not test on animals. We're dermatologist approved, we're vegan, we're gluten-free, and of course, toxin-free. So we made sure that we covered all the marks with all of our products.
I'm sure environmentalist Mustafa's loving all of that. Mustafa?
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And thank you for focusing also on Black and brown kids. I'm curious, at the beginning, when you first began to share with us, you also talked about boys. And I think it's the first time we've had somebody on the show who's been focusing on boys' skincare. Is there a difference in thickness of boys' skin and girls' skin? Can you just talk about why these products are so important for young boys, but of course for all kids?
Yeah, so I think the skin is actually the same as far as the skin barrier. However, we don't typically cater to boys. So we kind of skip over that and think that it's a girl thing and that just girls should start their skincare routines, when in fact boys should be doing the same thing as well. So I think that's the main difference. And also with boys, it's harder to kind of get them into routines because they're just not into like beauty and skincare like girls are. So starting them young is very important. And that's why we preface with saying, hey, you need to start at least at age 7.
Folks, if y'all want to check the products out, do me a favor, go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Go right now to shopblackstarnetwork.com. You can check out the price, all the products of Melon Brand Skin, and you can purchase them there. Again, we created this for Black-owned companies to be able to showcase their products. And when you support this Black-owned business, you also support this show as well, and this network, another Black-owned business as well. And so again, support Melon Brand Skin right there at shopblackstarnetwork.com. Patrice, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Roland.
All right, we appreciate it. Let me thank Jolanda and Mustafa. Khalil was with us, but we had some issues technology-wise, and so we'll get him back on. Thank you so very much to both of you. Folks, don't forget, support the work that we do. First and foremost, give me a couple of things. On Thursday, we're going to be in Middletown, Connecticut, there with Dr. Steve Perry, talking about his charter school and why is the state of Connecticut denying the #1 ranked school from being able to get another school. Y'all know, for me, school choice is the Black choice. I support Black-owned charter networks, and so we got a lot of questions that we hope to answer on Thursday. Friday, we're going to be in Montgomery, Alabama, doing the show there. And, of course, Saturday, all roads lead to the South. The National Day of Action for Voting Rights will be broadcasting live from Montgomery, Alabama. We're going to be live, first of all, at 10 a.m. from Selma and then 1 p.m. Eastern from Montgomery. And so you want to check us out. All right, folks, support the work that we do. Your dollars make it possible for us to go to places like this here, to travel, to do these stories on the road. And so our goal is real simple, to get 20,000 of our fans contributing on average $50 each a year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. You support this show and the 5 other shows on the Black Star Network. That raises $1 million. It really is critically important, y'all, because, listen, we don't have millionaires and billionaires cutting us checks. You know, I didn't leave TV One and, you know, earning millions of dollars and being able to fund the network. We've been bootstrapping it. Your support has been critical from day one. And so we appreciate it. We've had thousands of folks watching the show today. If you have not donated, please do so. Because it's important for us to have not just independent media, but Black-owned media. You know, I could always talk about generic topics and cover everybody, but no, we want to center African Americans and make us the focus every single day with this show. And so please support the work that we do. 47,000 donors have contributed since we started this show. Let's get to 50,000 this month. And so, again, folks, if you want to support us via Cash App, Stripe QR code, you see it on the screen. If you're listening, go to blackstarnetwork.com. Checks and money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. PayPal, R. Martin Unfiltered. Venmo, RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app. Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get our Roland Martin Unfiltered swag, our hats and T-shirts and mugs and all that good stuff. Our shirt, Don't Blame Me, I voted for the Black woman, Black-owned media matters. How, of course, MAGA chose between woke or broke. They chose broke. Get all that stuff at shopblackstarnetwork.com. You can also support these Black-owned companies at shopblackstarnetwork.com by going to our marketplace. Every product that you see in our studio, they're all available on shopblackstarnetwork.com. Download the app Fanbase, the Black-owned social media app. Follow me at Roland S. Martin if you get Fanbase, and I appreciate it. Don't forget, check out Brittany Noble every day on the Breakdown, the Brittany Noble, noon Eastern, right here. Also, every Thursday, check out Dr. Ebony Jade Hilton, Second Opinion, Dr. Ebony Jade Hilton, every Thursday right here on the Black Star Network. Folks, that's it. Also, a shout out to my high school, Jack Yates. Yes, I'm repping JY today, as I always am, right here, class of '87. All right, y'all, I'm going to see y'all tomorrow.